Hey guys, Waterfowler 41 here. Came home from work today, and what do we have in front of the house? Some more truck presents. So without wasting any more of your time jibber jabbering, let's go ahead and unbox those and take a look at what we got here. So just a couple tie bands, it looks like holding everything together. So we'll do one at a time here. Okay, the part number on this little piece here is Dee Zee 9505 RTB. So basically what this is Dee Zee's new truck bed rack. Look at it. Oh, certainly a lot of parts in here. There it is. And upside down, of course. That's pretty cool. Alright, so this is the headache rack portion. So this is the portion that goes up against the cab. Like I mentioned before, this is a new redesign. The old headache, or the whole truck, we'll call them truck bed racks, used to have sort of an kind of an octagon approach to it, whereas the new ones are rounded. I think what that did is got rid of some welds and made this whole structure just a little bit tougher. But the finish is textured black. So let's go ahead and open up what's else in here. Looks like we got some hardware, and then some of the mounting accessories. It looks like this must be the rest of the brackets. Yeah, just like the brackets for the push guard, these are some thick brackets here. Pretty durable. This is a lot bigger than I thought it was going to be, but I guess that makes sense for the fact that that basically needs, how's it go? That needs to sit on the side of the truck. So it looks like it mounts this way on the side. Gives it a pretty cool look to it on the sides. And then, like I said, there's the multiple mounting options. So those must line up with the stake hole pockets, and then some mounting hardware. Looks like it screws through the tops there. But my one concern is I have a tonneau cover on my truck right now, and you can see that's some pretty thick metal. And my thought was to sandwich the tonneau cover up against the bed rail sides, but based on how thick that is, I'm not sure that's going to happen, and my tonneau cover may come off for a little while until we figure out a solution here, but worth it. That's pretty cool. Let's open up the other bracket. And there's the other side. What do we got here? Oh, these are the pads that go underneath the brackets here, so you don't destroy the top of your bedside. And then some brackets that I'll show you where those go. Those brackets slide through this channel, and this is one of the things I really like about Dee Zee, is a lot of their products have this channel on here, and basically what it is you use a square head bolt and it slides in this channel, and then you can mount whatever accessories you want in here. In this case, they give you the a couple mounts, so you can mount whatever, you know, lumber, canoes, whatever you want on top here. But this channel also gives you the ability to mount light bars and whatnot to the top, and it goes all the way down the sides. So if you're riding on trails at night and you want lights down the side of your spots down the side of your truck, this certainly gives you the ability to do so. Alright, we got everything taken out of the box on the front headache rack portion of the bed rack, and just kind of laid everything out, how it's going to mount up. Looks sweet. Certainly a different look than your typical headache racks or kind of front truck bed ladder racks. It's, you know, kind of durable steel on here. Certainly takes up a lot of the bedside here, and again, different mounting options, so you know, once we get it on the truck, we'll figure out which one that's going to go in. But I wanted to show you guys this real quick. I was talking earlier about the square channel and how the accessories just sort of slide in there. We didn't put the bolt in there to tighten everything down yet, but so like I said, it slips in there and then slides wherever you want it. And then here's the other one, you know, kind of a square slider there, pops right into the top, and then you can put it wherever you want it. So the primary reason I got this was we're looking to take the kids out canoeing, and I have a short bed, so obviously you can't throw a canoe in the back of it safely. So I've this is kind of our next best option, is to throw it up on top of a rack. Alright, we opened up the rear one. So there's the rear rack. Same thing, just without the mesh and the diamond plate on the bottom. And the way this mounts up to the vehicle is these brackets here will face to the front of the truck, and this hoop sits on the back end, pretty much over the tailgate. Again, multiple mounting options. So these will mount in your stay cold pocket depending on where you're at. This one also has your channel again, and it came with brackets as well. So we got our brackets in there, and those will mount right up into this channel, and unlimited mounting options. Looks like you can even go down on the side with them and hold a ladder off to the side, so you free up space up top for lumber. Cool product, very cool product. Definitely a different look. You don't see these out there too much right now, obviously because this look is brand new, but you didn't really see too much of the older product, and I don't know if it's because not a lot of people know about it, but I like this. I like the finish on it, the channel. That's an awesome touch. That's Dee Zee did their homework on these products, and this channel system, I'm not sure what they call it, but man, does it really open up a lot of opportunities for you. So again, there's the front with the mount brackets. Everything's just kind of roughed up right now, laid out, and then there's the rear rack. Alright, we're going to start with the back rack, and that's the open one without the mesh. And turns out that the channels that I was pointing out earlier for mounting stuff, they actually come in handy for how you actually assemble it. So basically the way this works is, let's see here. Here's the brackets. You got one side one there. You get an additional side one here. So you get this large bolt that goes up through the bottom, and that goes into that nutsert. Then you got these two holes on the side of the bracket that actually have square head bolts that go through them, and those square head bolts mount up through that channel. So everything gets cinched down pretty tightly. Again, Dee Zee did their homework on this, so it's not like this thing is just put together with a couple bolts. I mean, you're really bolting this thing down, and it's going to be able to handle a lot of abuse. So I'm going to go ahead and bolt it up, and then we'll come back and take a look at everything assembled on each side. We already got one side on, but I do want to point out something that makes life a little bit easier. So as I said, you got those square head bolts that mount on the side, and they basically slide in here. So you assemble these guys and then slide everything on, and then you got this bottom screw that goes through the bottom into that threaded insert inside the tube. Now, what's making things a little bit tough is trying to get everything coordinated all at once, and there's also a nylon bushing that goes in the back of here, act as a spacer. So what I've done is you loosely put those guys on, and then you start by tightening the bottom one, and what that does is pulls everything straight in, and then these guys just slide in the track, and wherever they end up at the end of the day, they do, and then you just cinch everything down. So we're going to go ahead and use our Allen wrench, just basically pull everything together, and you can see it kind of pull in. And everything self-aligns, and that's the benefit of the fact that they got this square or the hex tubing on here instead of a round tube, is as you're pulling everything together and tightening everything up, really you can't mess it up because it's all angles, everything flat, just basically buttons up nicely next to each other. So that sits flush on the bottom of the mount, and then this basically sits on top of your truck bed side rails. So we'll go ahead and tighten these guys up. These are 1/2 inch I guess caps we'll call them, but then we're done with assembling the back rack. All right, just like the back ladder rack, the fronts go together just the same. You got that one screw that goes to the bottom, a nylon spacer that stops you from over tightening it, and then you got the two side screws that slide into the channel. Same thing like the back one. It is easier to loosely put these guys on there and then use this screw to pull everything in, because basically with the way everything's designed, there's no way to not have it line up on its own. So once you tighten everything down, tightening here first, then do the sides, and then everything buttons up pretty nicely. But again, man, this took me all of about 10 minutes to put together. There's a lot of monkeying around with getting these guys lined up, but other than that, this is a simple install so far. All right, we're all put together. That's the front assembled. Got the sides. And again, this is what sits on here, and then this is basically, at the end of the day, what's going to mount it to the bed itself. And one of these will line up with the stake hole pockets. I have to cut a hole in the front stake hole pockets for mine because GMCs, and I think Chevys too, the fronts don't come pre-cut. They come with an outline, you just cut it open. One thing I did want to point out that I think is going to be sort of an issue if you really beat the hell out of this thing is this. This is just a plastic little emblem on here. And you know, obviously it's just an emblem. Doesn't need to be anything that durable. But I think if you hit it pretty solid with something like a 2x4 or, you know, get a little reckless with a piece of metal or a cabinet or something swings by it, that's getting torn off. Really nothing much holding it on in the back. So if I had to guess, I'd give that about a year before something whacks in and just kind of rips it off there. But that's what it's going to look like assembled once we get on the bed. So we're going to pause for today and wait till we get some daylight and go ahead and try to slap these babies on the Sierra. Alright guys, we finally got some daylight, so we're going to go ahead and install the headache rack on the front of the GMC. I just want to show you a couple things before we go ahead and install it. The way these things install, and I think this is kind of typical with most headache racks, and really anything that uses the truck bed sides to mount. These slots, like I said earlier, these line up with your stake hole pockets. So every truck usually has 4, some have 6. And then basically what you do is you line up one of these slots with the stake hole pockets on your truck, and then you use this threaded bolt. That passes through this rubber, we'll call it a bushing or spacer, and then it goes into this threaded plate. And basically what happens, and I'll show you here, as you tighten the threaded rod here, you pull that threaded plate in, and then it crushes this thing, and basically it uses pressure to hold it inside the stake hole pocket. So along with that stake hole, we'll call it, you know, that rubber bushing, that pressure mount, on the inside lip of these rails is a hole, and that hole is for a screw that goes through there. And this ties into the inside edge of the truck bed rails. So you got to drill a hole ultimately on the inside here, and then you thread this screw through there, the spacer, and then the nut on the back, and that'll tie everything together. We did a quick test fit, and everything seems to fit well. Width-wise, this thing measures up pretty great. One thing I did want to point out with the GMCs and Chevys, the front stake hole pocket where the headache rack's going to mount into, usually these things are not cut out. You know, I had an F-150 prior to this, and it just had little caps that removed, but with the GMCs and Chevys, they give you the indents in case you wanted to use it, but they leave them sealed. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is cut this open with my Multimax tool, sand it down, make it look nice, and then we'll go ahead and get the headache rack up and installed. Last thing we got to do before we throw this guy on the truck is we have to throw on the adhesive backing. This is basically a protector to keep this thing from scratching up the top of the truck bed walls. This came as a solid piece, like this one right here. What I did is I put it on, and then I went back and cut through the slots. And the only reason I cut those is because you'll see through from this side, and with the adhesive sticking up, you know, I think a lot of dirt's going to get stuck on there. It's going to look like crap after a while. So I just went ahead and cut those out so that way we don't got any exploded adhesive. So we did that up on both sides, just took a razor blade then and went back and cut open those holes. But I think we are good to go to install here. So we're going to go ahead and throw it up on the truck. We already cut the holes out on the side of the truck bed. Multimax tool again for the win. And then let's see how this guy looks on the truck. Alright guys, we went ahead and mounted up everything. Looks pretty good. So like I said, there is the main bolt that threads through that rubber, we'll call it a crush bushing, into the threaded plate. And you basically just tighten the hell out of that thing. That pulls everything in, and then you come back in, and then you go ahead and drill that, I think it was a 1/4 inch hole to thread this screw through, and then there's a bolt on the back of it. One thing that really made that easy was if you take a clamp and basically pull everything down, it pulls everything flat, because this bar, without it being mounted down, and obviously I did it the other way, but with just that screw in and nothing in the back, it has a tendency to teeter forward. So if you use a clamp here to pull everything down, then you can line that guy up and then make sure everything's lined up and good to go. Other side, it's all completed. So we'll back up here, give you a look. Looks pretty cool. You know, plenty of access for the windows, so I could pop that open still. And the last thing I wanted to point out on the front guy is I went ahead and mounted the bars here, or I guess the brackets. And really, those are just a screw, and you can hand tighten them wherever you want, and they're not going anywhere. And these things are metal, so everything's pretty high quality on this guy. Guys, we are done with the install. It was easy as pie. If I wasn't filming, it probably would have taken me from assembly and, you know, drilling the holes and everything, maybe an hour at tops by myself. This is definitely a one-person job. Looks mean, looks sweet. Plenty of tie down points. I forgot to mention this in the beginning, but it looks like you could tie down from pretty much any of these things. And again, this is not going anywhere. Those rubber bushings that kind of crush down inside the stake hole, they really hold this thing down. The back was just as easy as the front. A couple things to note, especially on the Chevys and GMCs when you're mounting these things, careful with your bed lights. I nicked one of mine with the drill bit when I was pushing it through, but you know, it didn't do anything terrible. But again, the back ones for my truck, you could see it down there, it lined right up with the bed light, so you just gotta be careful when that drill bit goes through. But other than that, this is a sweet product. I'm pretty happy with it. Can't wait to load it up. We're gonna go pick up the canoe in a couple days here and take my son on his first canoe ride, I guess. So, you know, it's nice to have this with a short box. You can't really do that without destroying your hood or putting pads galore up there. So with the rack now, we'll just be able to string it right up across there and then be on our merry way. The one thing I really don't like about this is there is no option to use a tonneau cover. I had a roll-up tonneau cover on here prior, and with about how far this stuff sticks out, it really leaves you no room to put those tonneau cover racks that basically clamp up against here. Alright, in the event you're going to get this rack and think that you can fit a tonneau cover, I did want to show you the issue you're going to run into. So this is the inside rail of my tonneau cover. Obviously the cover itself has been removed, but this is what clamps onto the side of the truck bed rail, and if you could see the gap, you know, you got about a ½ inch gap all the way down, and then definitely bigger in the middle. But that's what you're going to be fighting against. So if this L wasn't here and it was just laying on top, you certainly could fit your tonneau cover on here. But with how thick this steel is, and then the fact that it goes down and there's a bolt on there, I don't see really how it's going to work.